Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's oh, am I too near my mic? I prefer this way. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for making time today, this morning. My name is Danny Imson. I teach at School of the Arts. I teach composition, integrated arts, music technology as well. So I want to thank Dr. Ho for inviting me over to share some of my experiences and my thoughts about the game mechanisms or game mechanics, and it actually offers a new thinking of creating a musical work or a sound work. No? So this sharing also, I'm taking some bits of information and experiences from Dr. Bernard Lang when I did the Impulse Festival in July last year at Graz, Austria. So I won't be too serious this morning, so that's not to be serious, but let me present what's going to happen in this 1 hour session. So I'll share about some understandings of the concept of game, and then let's do a short play. Yeah, I would say play, and then let's have some small time for us to bounce out some ideas, or if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. So let me share about what I learned about what is actually a game. So it can be a solo or a communal activity where a lot of the intentions was more for amusement, and it also always has rules, no? And it can also be an activity to have or construct some of the rules to come up with a game. There is, what is exciting for me is there is room for improvisation in the nature of game. So this actually aligns with my recent interest about aleatory, because improvisation is such a wonderful phenomenon. I think it also stems from my experience as a traditional musician in the Philippines, where I'm from. And it's very common in the northern Philippines and southern Philippines. We are expected actually to improvise based on the motif that we are playing. So repetition is crucial in games. This is one of the very strong features of this phenomenon, and there are levels, rounds, and loops for those who. The generation of game that I played is Super Mario Brothers. So after that, I don't know if you guys know that. So there are actually levels, and then you have different stages, and then you have the boss to kill or something. Yeah. Well, we also touch on the discussion of the game theory. This was I think in the 1950s, no. And a mathematician and economist, Newman and Morgenstern, came up with a publication at the time that speaks about game theory. And it has affected the way some of the strategists in economy, economics, mathematics, and different applications. And they mentioned that game is modeling the causes and effects, the decision given by one participant, and how it actually the other participants respond. No, so you can imagine how this can be applied in many things, from war games. Oh my gosh, okay, from strategies of wars or games itself, from when I was trading many years ago. Some data will affect and how sentiments affect things, and vice versa. These are quite interesting happenings. So, game theory is also one of the pillars of what we discussed in the workshop last year in Graz. And what is actually, what really affected me or moved me is the discussion about a French literary critic named Caillois. I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly. No, so he mentioned that play is a free activity. So everyone's free to do games, and it should be almost like an escape, outside of the ordinary life, as being not serious, no material interest, which means also that there shouldn't be any monetary gain or monetary equivalent from this activity, play. But of course now gaming, you can also go to gambling, no? So that is another aspect. So what is also interesting about this definition is it has a boundary actually. It can be bounded by time, it can be bounded by space, and then there are, as I mentioned a while back, there is always a fixed rule, and it has to be orderly, cannot be chaotic. So these are those. So these are some of his definition. And what is fascinating is he actually thought that games or play can be categorized in 4 divisions. So the first one he mentioned was agon, which means that you have to train for it and you need to really spend some time for you to gain something. So you can imagine this can be in the nature of sports, right? So you really need to train for many years, and there is physical, mental pain involved. And it can be, again, physical or cerebral, like chess players, for example. They train many, many years for this. I think also some of the, how do you say this, the video games that now become very serious, no? EA Sports is kind of so that'll be money. So I'm gonna say competition. He also categorized play as a from the word, the Latin word dice, chance, and it's as if going against what is predictable. And it negates, as opposed to agon, it negates experience and qualification. So which means that you don't really have to train for this kind of games. It's based on luck. Yeah, so you're embracing what is the destiny or the outcome of this. Interesting. And the third one he said it's also, the third one is called mimicry. So this is imaginary universe or illusion, simulation. So this brings you to a certain space where you become someone else, something else. So I can imagine this is more in the present times, like VR games, this kind of stuff. Very interesting. I think one of the musical games we did, I was just telling my friends a while back, last year was we imagine ourselves, musicians on stage, we imagine ourselves in a room, and he will give us a visual. It's a room without window, and there's a cat, and when you hear a cat, you should make a sound as well, and you should respond to the sound of the cat. There's kind of mechanisms in games and how you create music. So it gives you a certain kind of imagination in a certain space. And the last one is e-links, which is trance ecstasy, momentarily destroys the stability of perception. So it's almost like mimicry, but this one is more transformative. I like how he also framed play as in this kind of transformative nature, being there. So, yeah, these are the 4 fundamental categories from Roger Caillois. Am I speaking too fast? Again. So let me share about my personal interests about play. So for me, in my recent works, in the past 3-4 years, I use play as a metaphor of my political expression and symbolism of some of my artistic and political expressions. I feel like this is an engaging way to for the audience to be involved in my work or to listen to my work, but it's actually an expression or a metaphor symbolism of something else. Dr. Ho, am I allowed to discuss this further? But no, maybe not. Let me give you two works. Let me show you some of the excerpts of two works that I did in 2022, where my friends Owen and Joanne were in the audience was part of the group. This was for a mix ensemble. So I'll explain a bit. Let's watch first. It's just 40 seconds. So this was inspired by John Zorn's card games. So the card represents a certain phrase, poetry that was written by a good friend, Rodrigo de la Peña, is also based here. And this number also represents a certain phrase assigned to a specific singer. So when it comes up, you have to loop again and again, sing that short musical phrase. But you have to repeat it again and again till the end of the piece, but you're also expected to do a small variation or some improvisation along as you go through the piece. So it starts with one card. As you can imagine, it stacks. The sounds becomes a bit more like a sound mass at the end. So I think it's interesting because there's also some phrases or poetry involved in this work. So it has to have that balance. The music cannot be too distracting to the words and vice versa. So we don't know what's coming up. So it's also fun. There's also a card that symbolizes silence. So everyone has to keep quiet. And then I don't know what's coming up. I think I can't remember, were there times when there were successive silences? I think in the rehearsals too. So it's fun. You don't know what's coming up, right? Like, surprise, surprise. So 2 weeks ago, I went to where I'm doing my current MA PhD studies in University of Birmingham, and I presented work. Let's watch first, and then I'll explain a bit later. The same costume, if you notice. So, it's my presentation code. So this is for a multi-channel playback, which means that I think in this 32-channel dome speakers, I use 20 speakers, so low order, higher order of distributed instruments, and they involve bamboo buzzers, sarunai, which is a toy gong, and then some stretched samples of juice harp and much more. So they are playing around the space. I asked Dr. Scott Wilson if we can have a recording, and he asked me how. I was like, well, yeah, because it's for a multi-channel work. If you record it, it becomes stereo. That's not the work. So yeah, I'm just giving you an example. I hope someday we can simulate this kind of experience for Singapore, or maybe have we done before? I'm not sure. Like a multi-channel. Let's go. Let's make so. Yeah, let's do a workshop, no, Dr. Pete, with the multi-channel. It's just so immersive, and I thought it was a new technology. It's been going since 1950s, and they call this. It's a kind of an ambisonic phenomenon where they try to commercialize this, and then obviously it failed. No, it's so expensive, and then they come up with the quad system in the 80s as a commercial setup. And then it's a bit of a niche. So I think now we can also have a 5.1, 7.1 system in our houses. So, but this one is slightly more different because it's a bit more immersive, you know. And what is special about this? The one I learned from this visit was I thought you can just set up 32 speakers in this space. It's not as simple as that, because when you sit beside the speaker, if you don't have any what they call decorrelation, you will only hear that speaker. Correct, no? I was like, oh yeah. So there is a software developed by IAM in Graz, and it's a research-based software, and then they come up with a plugin in the software where even if you sit here, you will still hear a whole system, or a bit more immersive. I don't know how they do it. There's a lot of algorithm involved, and they call this the correlation software. Yeah, it's amazing. So this piece, again, it's something political. The reason why I gave the bird whistles to everyone is I want the sound to be pure, no, but it also represents a cry for help, because when we had a superstition back in the Philippines, when someone is murdered, murder. So in the coffin, you will, am I correct? You put the sisiu or baby chickens, on top of the coffin until the funeral. So during the wake, you put small little birds as a symbolism of cry for help, cry for justice. The belief was for the conscience, how do you say this? The killer won't be silenced, no? Like he will always think of this. Oh my God, it's so hard to translate in English because there are a lot of nuances in our language that it gets lost when we try to explain it in English. No? So I feel like this kind of distributed space, and we didn't rehearse this whistle. I rehearsed myself, but I tried to imagine how it sounds like. I'm also scared, like, will the audience play or hold the instrument, before the start of the piece. So it's distributed playback, plus the audience will have to play the instrument at certain points. And they were actually very eager. Can I have? I only have limited number of whistles, but all of them wanted to participate, which is fun, And it's quite hair raising. What's kilabot? Hair raising, no? Hair raising when I heard it. It almost felt like it was like a cry when I heard this group of bird whistles, where actually it is a toy, a bird whistle toy for children. And it's just something that I think it's a make or break kind of performance, because we wouldn't know if it will work or not. No. So this is chance, Alea. And I'm very interested to explore this further in my future works. And that's it. Now let's play. Can we play? I brought some rubber chickens. And I feel like let's try this. What I learned from my teaching profession, it's you explain a lot of concept, but I realized when the students don't actually do it, they won't remember it much. No. So I feel like let's try to do this. I will explain the very simple mechanics of this game. So the title is something was Sao Sao Suka Mahulitaya, which means that dip in the vinegar, the one who gets, oh, there should be an S now. The one who gets caught will be the chosen one, the it, yeah. So, this is the rhythmic representation of the phrase that we all have to say. Now, don't worry, I'll flash this later again. So the first rule would be, say the phrase in a loud but whispered manner. So instead of, Sao, sao, su, ka, you should be saying, Sao, sao, su, ka, right? Something like that. So it will be, yeah, everyone will, I mean, those who want to participate, so it will be quite a busy whispering. And then, take turns to do this. I will demonstrate first. Ate John, can you help me? We'll demonstrate how the game looks like. So the taya should still touch, no? So, sao, su, ka, mahuli, taya. Okay, so now, okay. It should be like this, no? So it's solid. Sao, su, ka, mahuli, taya. Okay, so good. So don't break the finger, no. So, sao, su, ka, mahuli. What do you do? So you should be saying too.
Okay. Sao, su, ka, mahuli, taya.
Until someone gets caught, no. So only one time because we don't have the time. So when I get caught, for example, I get caught, no, so I got caught. Mahuli taya. Okay, so I got caught. So once you get caught, the chosen one, I will have to stand somewhere. You can sit here, it's all in all. Just chill. And you just have to squeeze this 31 times. So each squeeze should have a sound. Please don't do that. So squeeze it with full intention. Yeah? You can laugh, no problem. So 1, 2, 3. If you can do it, 2, 3, and so on, yeah. It can be fast, it can be slow, it's up to you. As long as the sound, every squeeze is produced, no? Okay, it's not producing. Okay, so there. Easy, no? So once finished, just keep still until the last one finishes. So, yeah, so this is again. Can we try? Sao, su, ka, mahuli, taya. That's it. So each pair will get one rubber chicken. You can take this home. You want to try? Anyone want to try? Rubber chicken for you. Anyone? Thank you, Miss Young. Okay. You want to try? Okay. Sorry, I might not have it. Yeah, one each pair. Yeah. One each pair. This is recorded, no? I'll ask for a recording of this now. Shall we stand up, no, and do the salsa super thing? You know how to do it, huh? So don't look at me, look at the recorder. And the ya should be the one to do, yeah. Okay, so are we ready?
We alternate, right?
Yes, you alternate.
Hindi matutulog ka na one time.
Again, so
So,
okay,
bilis lang
no,
yun.
no specific.
Yes.
Okay, so ready? Okay, as loud as you can, but in a whispered way. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2. Interesting, no? I was imagining it will happen all together, but it's interesting that it's distributed around. And can you imagine if this is 100 people all having some chaos, laughter, squeezing, and so on? This comes from my experience. The last time I cried so much was when my father passed away in 2005. And I cried so much, that intense, when we lost a candidate back some years ago back in the Philippines. I wasn't expecting this kind of reaction. And then I read there were studies about back in America called it's like an election grief, something like that. It happened also during Lincoln's election and so on. It was quite intense. It was something that really disturbed me for many weeks, as if I'm really grieving, that I lost my country from this election. So that 31 times represent the 31 million people who vote. And for me, it's also a representation of it, as if we're so tired of the political instability of our country that it's almost like a joke. It's a laughter and so on. So this is the idea where this Sao Suka came from. No. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. And you can take in the stickers. We have some time. Perfect. Oh, 30 minutes to have some. Maybe I won't use the mic. I'm not sure. Is it audible enough? If we can have some questions, response, or yes. Let's form a circle. Classroom. Okay. So, do you have any questions from this? Maybe from the game mechanics, maybe some of your experiences before. And I was researching also about games can, as I mentioned in the write-up that I gave you, games can also be cultural. It can be an expression of your cultural identity. Because for us, we have so many games. I'm not in Singapore, maybe also games apart from video games. The younger generations still play some stuff here. I know you have Sungka as well, the one. It's like the one you put the shells. Jongka. Oh, we call it Jongka. For us, we call it Sungka. Yeah, so it's almost the same. So this kind of. Yes, sir.
Thank you for sharing and I hope your poetry games competition. My question is to do with sort of the aspect of the rehearsal process and how I guess composing this, using these techniques can pose some challenges when the rehearsal, for example, especially trying to make it efficient. Yes. So do you have any learnings on how you were able to achieve that?
Yes, we did have, from the workshop we did last year, we had a week to rehearse so the first few days were presentation of ideas, and then the following days were space for us to really try out and refine. We can also adjust some of the rules, we can also adjust the kind of sounds that we produce and so on. And we are also documenting this along the way, it has to look like it's a real documented game or something. Yeah, and it allows us to have that space to really come up with a musical work. So if the audience hear it, it is as if Dr. Bernard Lang wanted it to sound as if it was a notated piece. So it wasn't to improvise that the audience think it was just, anyhow done on the spot. So there are some thoughts behind this. Oh, by the way, you reminded us, the composers there, that you should not abandon the traditional way of creating music, like notation. So, because some of the composers might think this is the easy way, but this is just an approach, one way of creating a musical work. Yes?
Yeah, so in relation to that, that first piece that we touched on, were they improvising even the melodies themselves?
So it has a notation where each singer, there is actually a notated part. So for example, you're number one, this is your notation, and you will have to master this line, and when the card comes out, you have to sing that. And then as you sing it along the way, you can actually improvise and refine it yourself. Yes. So there is still some parameters there.
So So could you share with us what were some of your compositional thoughts in terms of creating those components?
Yes. So I have 20, because it's also based from bingo, no? So I have 25 squares, and each square has a specific phrase, and from that phrase, I analyze the rhythm and the impression, personal impression of how the phrase impacts my musical thinking. So, for example, it can be a slow phrase with some accents, or it can be also a very aggressive phrase, or something like that, or very minor phrases. So some of the singers will just say across the piece, yeah. It's just doing that, and you can improvise the rhythm. Always an awkward sound.
So it doesn't look like a piece with notes and.
Yes, yes. So it's also a kind of two sides though to see it. The coach from our workshop said that it should sound like it's a well-rehearsed piece. You know, it has to be rehearsed and it should be performed properly, as if the audience is imagining, wow, it is notated. But on our perspective, it's the other way around, where there is some freedom for us to interpret this, and it's not actually annotated music. Yeah, so there are two ways of thinking. But actually, when I always remind my students, but actually when the audience sit down, in any, at least majority of the concert, unless he's a trained musician, no, the audience would listen to the sound. They would not imagine the music, right? I got scolded one time by Dr. Tony Macaroni. New York Phil visited Singapore, they're doing Mahler 1. And then I brought the Mahler 1 score while they were rehearsing. He scolded me. Why? This is not an analysis class. You should be listening to the music, not you know, to them as a group, as human beings playing, not an analysis or something. Interesting. Yes?
So, based on that, the question I have is, you know, I'm thinking, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you look at normal, you know, normal word, very often we look at discordant and, you know, concordant sounds, right?
Yeah.
So, does that mean your original composition with all these phrases, when the person first created those phrases before the song, is there an element of making an effort to say, I'm going to try something that's a little bit more harmonious here, or, you know, free for all, let's just go. Discordant when it happens, this phrase is repeating against the rest. I mean, what is the initial framework before you even assign these phrases that are repeated and then I improvise on them? Is there a kind of a repeated chord progression?
Yes. So, correct. So there is a parameter of pitch. So the first person that comes out will have, so the notation would have only I remember there's no specific pitch indication, but it can be an upper range, a middle range, or a lower range. So if the singer sings at the middle range, the next singer will have to follow approximately the pitch of the previous one. So it's like passing the pitch until it becomes the range. That's naturally. So that's a parameter. It's also exciting. There's still some rules in terms of pitch generation. Why I said it now. Yeah. The version I had in class was for instrumentalist mode. So it's the same principle. They can sing or they can play their own instrument. You can try this with kids. I can imagine it's also fun. They're very honest and
Yeah.
no filters kind of phenomenon. And then have the recording and hear it. Yes, Dr. Ho. Yes, if I think I will later on share my email address in case you have further questions. Yeah. Should I type it in now? Yeah, now. Oh no, I because I didn't prepare it. I think we're okay. Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you. And so the next one will be at 1 o'clock here.
Yes.
And this will be the premieres of the Young
The
Composers
World Series.
19.
I'd just like to say, if you want to know where are the eateries around here, since we got about 1.5 hours for lunch, you can scan actually the QR code at the back there, and then we actually prepare a whole list of recommendations. And yes, do help yourself to the snacks and water if you have not received them. And also hang around, stay behind, talk to Danny. I'm sure he has a lot more to share. Okay, thank you for being here. See you later at 1 p.m.